for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the fall!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, leur 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Thursday, June 20. Thanks, everyone, for watching on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. It is the Sick Podcast. All right. Also brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group. Once again, recognized as one of Canada's top fleet employers for the 4th consecutive year. The prestigious accolade underscores their steadfast dedication to fostering a workplace of excellence and opportunity, much in part to their exceptional team for their unwavering commitment and contribution. Energy Transportation Group is a top fleet employer. Also brought to you in part by Brewed in Quebec and a winner of a dozen international awards. Bittt Tibi offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. Bittt Tibi, embrace their true nature. And Playground. Playground's world-renowned poker experience with free food and drinks at their cash game tables. You have to experience it. A bad beat jackpot that's over $1.1 million in climbing. Weekly promotions, daily tournaments, unmatched customer service. Why play anywhere else? Located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. Playground. And a shout out to Betway, and they're a global, leading global online betting and gaming brand. Follow your gut instinct. Go with Betway. Go on betway.com or scan the QR code to join the action. Must be 18 and over and play responsibly. And the Sick Podcast NHL Draft Coverage 2024 will be presented by Betway, and I will be there broadcasting from Vegas on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The Sick Podcast, the Eye Test with Jimmy Murphy, Pierre Maguire. Jimmy will be there. We'll be broadcasting as well, and so will the Recruits Draftcast podcast with Graham McCagg and Shane Gaumont. Shane will be there. So special thanks to Betway. It's presented by them. Let's bring in one guy. You can tell by reading my shirt. You are un serpente. I wrote un serpente, which is, I should probably change it to nu serpente. It sounds better when it's new. But anyway, he's a serpent, which is my way of calling him. He's the snake. Simo, the snake Boisvert. What's going on?
Doing very well. And you, Tony?
Very well. He's one half of the podcast Processus on La Commission Athlétique with Mathias Brunet. And a couple of nights ago, they actually gathered at a microbrewery in Montreal and had a bunch of people there watching you guys do a live show, right?
It was a lot of fun. It was special about Trevor Timmins' career in Montreal.
Jeez, you're not going to let him go, are you?
No, I'm not. We analyzed his 19 drafts with the Habs.
Yeah.
And we graded each year, Mathias and I, without consulting each other.
Were you able to convince Mathias of your way of thinking here? Because I believe Mathias is a fan, correct?
Yeah, Mathias, he's actually Trevor Timmins' lawyer, I would say.
He's the president of the fan club?
Oh, yeah. Big time. He's been defending him for years and years and years.
Okay.
But I'm not going to sell, the punch. But our final grade, when we added up every year.
Yeah.
And, university style, let's say A+, A minus, etc.
Yeah.
Our final grade, the gap was not as wide as I thought it would be.
Okay. I got you. All right. Okay. I'm going to say this, and you and I have talked about this before. I think where he struck out is he struck out too many times on first round picks. And those are the players that have the highest percentage of actually playing in the National Hockey League and having the best careers. So you can't do that. As much as you would do well on other picks, a second pick, a third pick, a fourth pick, a fifth pick, you can't strike out as much as they did with the first round picks. They did have some really good years. There were some players that were traded away that no fault of his own, and they probably should still be here. Ryan McDonough is one, and Miguel Sergachev is another. Without a doubt, the best draft year for Trevor Timmins was 2007 with Ryan McDonough, Max Pacioretty, and PK Subban. That one there was amazing. But I'll say this. I'm not going to let him off the hook, but I'll say that if Trevor Timmins had Kent Hughes, Jeff Gordon, assemble the development team that they have now, when he was there, if they would have been there, and they weren't, some of his picks that you probably didn't like would have gone on to have much better careers. So, I believe that when Trevor Timmins was with the Canadiens for those 19 years, the development was a bigger issue than drafting.
But wasn't he director of player development for a while?
I don't believe. So it's a good question. The last couple of years, they gave him that title, and they gave Shane Churla the director of
scouting, amateur scouting. Yeah.
At one point, Trevor Timmins got the title, I think, of director of player development, and I think he got the title of assistant general manager as well.
Also, yeah.
When you believe you're probably going to end up losing someone, you give them a better title, you give them more money. I think that Trevor Timmins was the director of scouting even when Shane Churla had the title. I don't know that for a fact. That's what I believe. And player development, I don't think the Canadiens put a lot of – I think you have to answer to somebody, and I don't think they put a lot into it, and I don't think that's a fault of his. So, but anyway, look, just my opinion. Yesterday, I had Craig Button on, and he's come out with his top 32 list. And – I was telling Craig that when the draft happens, a lot of people circle the dates of the draft, but they also circle the dates that Craig comes out with his final list. They also do the same thing for Bob McKenzie. Craig Button's lists and Bob McKenzie's list carry a lot of weight in the hockey world. So his list came out, and I think you're going to find it very interesting. Why don't we bring up the top 10 or 11 here? Top 10, Macklin Celebrini 1, Demi Doff 2, Tija Ginla 3. Zeev Buyam 4, Cole Iserman 5, Konsta Helenia 6, Zane Perek 7, Artyom Lifshunov 8, Cayden Lindstrom 9, Sam Dickinson 10. What stands out for you on this list? Let's keep it up.
Well, first of all, what stands out for me is that usually Craig is goes more against the grain than this year. He always has a pick from left field in the top 5. I don't think in this case he does. Although Iginla stands out at number 3, Iserman stands out at number 5, Helenius at number 6, for sure. But Cole Iserman, remember, last year at this time, he was supposed to be the number 2 pick after Celebrini, and some people even liked him more than they did Celebrini. Iginla, look, he's one of these guys, I think between like maybe 3 and 13, I don't think there's one, there are 2 lists that are exactly the same. Mm-hmm. We all have our favorite players. Maybe he's influenced by the Iginla family name, who knows? But Iginla is obviously a guy that he values probably more than the average observer or scout.
Could be that he doesn't want to bet against a guy who comes from, a family that had the success. Craig was telling me that the year that they drafted, he was with Dallas, the year they drafted Jarome Iginla, 11th overall. Central Scouting had Jarome at 26.
Yeah.
He drafted him at 11, and when they drafted him, he thought he was going to be a guy who was at his best season was going to pick up 35 goals. And in the end, he ended up being a guy in his best season, picked up over 50 goals. So it just goes to show you, though, that it's a good point that you're making. But even if some people have him at 13 on their list, he could very well end up being the 3rd best player in the draft.
Yeah, who knows? And I think consciously or subconsciously he might be a little biased. But I think the one for me that really stands out if you compare with my list, is Consta Helenius. And I know a lot of people are very high on him. I don't really understand the hype. I think he's going to be a good player, but I don't see top 6 or even top 10.
Does it remind you of Kotkaniemi hype, the year of his draft, that all of a sudden a guy comes out of nowhere?
Well, I'm not sure he comes out of nowhere, but because it was always on previous lists, let's say, even last year. But he might be, his play might be a little bit overrated. You
don't see it.
Well, I see a guy that I rank 15. 15 is good. 15 is good. It's second line material. But obviously, if you rank a guy at number 6, is because you see him as an impact player, a first line player.
It's funny because you said something about a player that's high on Craig's list that Craig said about a player that's high on your list. He's got Trevor Connelly at 26th, I believe.
Yeah.
Let's fast forward here. Let's see if we can find it. He's got Trevor Connelly at 27, pardon me, and said to me that he sees Trevor Connelly as a second-line winger in the National Hockey League.
Okay. A guy picked 27th, okay, in general, is not a second-line winger. He's usually a third-line winger. So I think sometimes...
well, it all depends. There's a lot of defensemen going in the draft.
But
let's not forget that.
I think scouts very often, they overrate the number of impact players that will come out of a draft. Because if you go, let's forget about the rankings, okay? Because they're, and let's forget even what National Hockey League teams are going to pick. But let's do a redraft, of any draft, 2011, 2012, 2013, whatever. If you redraft, the guy usually that you rank 27 after the redraft will not be a second-line player. I think there's top 15, 20 impact players in a given draft. And I'm being generous. So that's why I'm surprised that he sees him as a second-line player, but yet ranks him 27. That's all. And, it's just a parenthesis here. But I think he ranks him very low. I think a lot of people are ranking him very low. I told you on another podcast that, all these people should have their eyes examined. But I also think that they might be influenced by the off-ice issues.
Okay. And you said, if memory serves me well, that Connolly's ability to skate with the puck is unbelievable.
Yeah. It's a rare skill to be able to make plays at a very high speed, and basically you make the same move at a very high speed as if you were stick handling, standing still.
You see him as a centerman or a winger in the National Hockey League?
Winger. He's been a winger all year long. So obviously maybe that devalues the guy a little bit because, centers have more value. But I don't care. I see this guy as a high-end, high-octane, spectacular, electric player.
He was saying that T.J. Ginla has played center in the past.
Yes.
You think he's a center or a winger?
Depends on the team that drafts him. Depends on their depth chart. So we'll probably have the answer within a year or two. But I see him. I think he's going to be more useful as a winger. But it's not
more of a shooter than a playmaker?
Yeah, so I see him more as a winger. Yeah.
Does he have great hockey sense?
Okay.
Great hockey sense, you can be a center. Okay, hockey sense, you can be a center, but you probably won't be a very good one.
Yeah, you're going to be a winger. I see him as a winger. Yeah.
Let's bring back up the list.
Yeah.
Zeev Buium.
Yeah.
We know he had a great Frozen Four, and we know his Denver team shut down Boston College and won it all. When people watched that game, they said, this guy's a really, really solid defender.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Craig agrees. He's got him at number 4. He's got him as the highest ranked defender in the draft.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I have him at number 8. I have him as my third defenseman. But again, I played with that list so much, like between, 5 and 13.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. The morning that I was going to submit the list, I was still playing with all these, rearranging it basically. I think Bouillon, I think, is a very, very safe bet to reach his ceiling. I think he's going to be a good two-way defenseman with a touch of offense. Obviously not a Makar type of player or Quinn Hughes, but I do see a player that has a very, very realistic chance of achieving his potential. In baseball, when they rate the players, they rate the potential, let's say on 100, but they also multiply it by the percentage, the probability of the guy reaching that potential. So some guys have a 90 on a 90 scale, but their probability of reaching the potential is like 50%. Other players, the potential could be 75, but there's like a 90% chance that they reach it. And I think in the case of Bouillon, it's a guy, let's say if you rate him like a 70, he probably has a 90% chance of becoming a 70.
Cole Yzerman.
Yeah.
A lot of people say he's unidimensional, but some people don't care because the dimension that he has is scoring goals, and it's the hardest thing in hockey to do.
Yeah.
He's a winger who's known for his scoring, not known for much else. Those players usually don't go top 5, or do they?
Well, it depends. Usually they don't. But this is the type of player that either he becomes like a 30, 35 goal scorer, but with not much else to offer. And he's drafted, I don't know, maybe number 12 or number 13. So it will be like a logical pick in a redraft.
Yeah.
But he's the type of player that if he scores 50 goals, the teams that passed on him, let's say he's drafted 12 or 13, are really, really going to look bad. Because if you score 50 goals, I don't care what else you don't do well. You score 50 goals. The problem is a lot of these guys, they score 30, 25, 30. And if they don't do other things well, you become a Mike Hoffman.
Yeah, you don't want to become a Mike Hoffman.
No, or for older folks, a Michael Ryder, let's say, who scored 30 goals, I think, for a couple of years.
Yes, he did.
Like yeah.
Constellinius, you talked to us about him. Zane Parekh, the best offensive defenseman in the draft.
Yeah, this is a guy, you see, I have him at number 10.
Okay.
I had him much higher during the year. Then I started picking him apart. Basically, you score 96 points in the Ontario Hockey League as a defenseman, 32 goals. This is very, very, very impressive in your draft year. However, I like defensemen who look organized. When they get the puck, you look at the Makars and the Hiskanens and the Rasmus Dahlins. They're very organized players. They take the puck behind the net and they have a plan, whether it be a stretch pass, a first short pass, carrying the puck. Zane Parekh, I find, is all over the map, and most of the damage he does is when his team is well entrenched in the opponent zone. So he gets the puck, he shifts one player, he makes a pass, they pass it back to him. He's a little bit messy, and in the NHL, you have to be way more structured. So I think he has to learn to be more structured because he does have high-end skills. That's why, Craig has him at number 7. I have him at number 10. He's going to go top 10. But I don't think he's a sure bet to necessarily be a top offensive defenseman, let alone a complete defenseman, because obviously in the defensive zone, he's a disaster so far. All
right. Okay. That's not good. The players who are
I think it's a risky pick. Yeah.
Okay. Levshunov.
You see, he has him at number 8. I have him at number 11. A lot of people have him at number 2, number 3.
Yeah.
He might be the first defenseman taken. I think Levshunov, he does a lot of things well, but I don't think he necessarily stands out as a surefire number 1 defenseman who's going to be a big point producer.
So a lot of things well, but nothing great. Is that it?
Yeah, but he has size. He skates well. He has a good shot. He can run a power play, but I don't necessarily see an elite player And when number 8, you're not an elite player if you're ranked number 8, but you're going to be a very good player. I think he is a safe bet to achieve his potential, but I don't see his potential as elite. I see him as maybe a number 2 on a good team.
All right. Okay. Moving right along. Let's go with Cayden Lindstrom at number 9.
Yeah. I have him at number 9.
You have him at number 9 as well. So he slipped on your list too, or?
Yeah. I think it's boom or bust with this guy. Well, not necessarily bust, but I think this is another type of guy like Yzerman for different reasons. Is this type of guy you can make a scout look very bad, ranking him number 9, or he's simply going to be a good complementary player. He played center in Medicine Hat. He did not play with Gavin McKenna. So a lot of people say, he was good because with Gavin McKenna. No, he played with Andrew Basha, who should be a number 1 pick, a first-round pick also. I think it really helped. He played center. I don't think he's a centerman. I see him more as a winger because I don't see a great hockey sense. He's 6'3". He's a big guy. I'm not sure he plays. He plays as hard as he doesn't play as big as this size, I would say. But obviously, he takes up a lot of space. He would not be a bad pick for the Habs. I know he's often mentioned at number 5.
Yeah.
Because when you add a lot of size, you need size in the playoffs. Yeah. We all know this. They have Doc, they have Slavkovsky. So they could have like 3 monsters on their top 6.
Yeah.
So it would not be a bad pick. But I think expectations must not be too high. I think if he's a 25-goal winger, a banger who takes up space, well, I think it's good. But if you expect the guy to be an 80-point guy, be necessarily a top-line guy who's going to be a dynamo, I think you have to calm down a little bit. And that's why Craig and I have him at number 9. I'm sure he probably feels the same way. Otherwise, he would have ranked him at 3 or 4, like some people have done.
You think he's slipped on some people's list because of the back injury?
It's very possible.
Which he says is nothing major.
It's possible, but we're all, a hernia, the back. He's very young. I think it's, it is concerning. But who knows? Who knows who leaked that piece of information? Maybe some doctor from, a team that wants him but does want other teams to take him. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just kidding. But I think he's...
No, it's funny you say that because I think Elliot Friedman was saying, I think it was Elliot. I read somewhere that Elliot was saying that he believes that a lot of hockey executives believes a lot of hockey executives believe that there's a lot of misinformation that's being spread about Demidov in hopes that maybe he'll dip a little bit and he'll be available to them when they draft.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's a chess game. As for Lindstrom, I think he could have slipped also because he didn't play during the second half of the season. And other players have really raised their game during that particular second half. Look, to me, it's a mystery. I don't know if he'll go past 5, but if he does go past 5, maybe could be picked 9 or 10. I mean, this is one guy that's very, very hard to predict where he's going to be picked. But in fact, all of these guys we just mentioned, I mean, we really, really have no clue where they're going to be picked.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's moving right along here. Let's go to Sam Dickinson.
Yeah,
number 10. He had a great playoff.
Yeah, that's his number 4 ranked defenseman. It's my number 1 ranked defenseman. I have him at number 5.
Wow.
Although I don't see superstar. I don't see a superstar.
You don't?
No. But I see a number 1 or a number 2, depending on the strength of the team that he plays on. But this is going to be a workhorse. Maybe his numbers were a little bit inflated because he played in London. So I don't think he's a great offensive defenseman. I think he's a good offensive defenseman. And I think defensively he has some things to work on, but he's a big guy. He skates like the wind. I compared him. It's rare that I compare players, but I compared him to Jay Bouwmeester. So I don't think Jay Bouwmeester was a superstar, but he was a very, very good defenseman. Sam Dickinson is probably a very, very safe bet to reach his potential. And that's why I had him at number 1, because I mean, number 5, because I do think that he's the most complete package, I would say, of all the defensemen available. I do not see a Norris Trophy candidate amongst these guys, but I think Dickinson is going to be the best of the bunch. We'll see.
If Reinbacher was in this draft, where would you have him?
Amongst defensemen or overall?
Amongst defensemen.
Amongst defensemen, I would say he would be, in my book, he would be challenging Dickinson, maybe at the same level. So I don't think, a lot of people say, oh, there's 3-4 guys who are better than Reinbacher this year. I don't agree. I do think that Reinbacher could be the top or maybe the second best defenseman if he were eligible for this draft.
The second best defenseman, really?
First or second, yeah.
Wow, okay, because I've heard some scouts tell me that they believe that there's probably 4, maybe 5 defensemen in this draft ahead of Reinbacher.
Yeah, I've heard that. Look, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he would still be the number 1 or number 2 defenseman that I would pick. But from what I hear, yes, I do think that he would probably be the 4th or 5th defenseman picked. So that's 2 things. Guessing where he would go and my opinion of the player is 2 different things. So, I do think that he would probably be the 4th or 5th defenseman taken. But in my book, it would still be the 1st or the 2nd.
All right, okay. Let's make our way out of the top 10 now.
Yeah.
Beckett Seneca.
Yeah, I think that's a little low. If Beckett Seneca is still available at 11, I mean, the team that drafts number 11 should jump on him.
Really, eh?
They should run to the podium. I have him at number 4. I think he's a riser, a second half riser. The guy, to me, is extremely skilled. That's another guy who can make plays at a very high speed. I mean, not like Trevor Connelly, but this is a guy who I think has to get used to his new body in the sense that he grew 5 inches within the last year and a half. I think he needs to go back to junior hockey at least 1 year, maybe 2. But this guy is going to be a real threat, a real
maybe 2 years junior hockey for a guy who was almost 6'4".
Well, you know what the problem is with junior hockey? Normally, okay, like let's take one of my favorite guys, Quentin Musty, for instance.
Yeah.
He went back to junior hockey. He had a very, very strong year at 18. Normally, this is the type of guy you should be playing in the American Hockey League next year. The Sharks, either they keep him or they send it back to junior. If he goes back to junior hockey, aside from the World Junior Championship, I think he's wasting his time. But at the same time, if he plays in San Jose, it might be too early for him. And I think Beckett Seneca, unless he really, really fills up next year, I'm not sure he could be like ready at 19, but the team might have no choice because sending these guys back at 19 at some point, they could develop bad habits. They could have it too easy. I don't know, but look, Nick Suzuki went back to junior hockey for 2 years and he was dominant.
Yes.
And he came up at age 20 and he was an NHL ready player.
And he didn't have to play in the American Hockey League, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Went from junior hockey to the big game. Yeah.
I don't think there's any magic recipe, but I do think that obviously Seneca is going back to junior hockey next year.
Fantastic stuff. Okay. Ryan Kennedy of the Hockey News told me that he thinks that when all is said and done, that Beckett Seneca could end up being a centerman of the National Hockey League and not a winger.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think it's not out of the question, but if he's going to be a centerman in the National Hockey League, he has to focus on that position now because it's very, very hard to get into the NHL as a winger and then go back to being a centerman or even playing yo-yo. You remember how they played yo-yo with Alex Galchenyuk?
Yeah.
I think that's not good. So for now, you know what? I have Seneca as a winger, but I understand Kennedy's reasoning. It's not out of the question.
All right. Okay. Siliev. Here's a guy that a lot of people think could end up being the most dominant defenseman in the draft, but some others look at his feet and his coordination and his, and they think he comes up short in a lot of categories.
Oh, I think he comes up short in some very important categories. What I like about him is that I've rarely seen a 6'7" guy skate like this. He's extremely mobile. I mean, a 17-year-old who's 6'7" who skates like this. Wow, I don't recall seeing this. However, I see very, very, very limited potential on offense. And remember, Tony, it's been 12 years now since a defensive defenseman, let's call it, because that's what he's going to be, has been drafted in the top 5. And it's been 12 years. And most of them have been disasters. You think Griffin Reinhart, even Luke Shen has a career, but he's not great. Eric Goodbranson, drafted number 3, not great. So I think odds are that Silayev has no business being drafted in the top 5. I'm not saying he's not going to be useful, but I have him at 24. I took a lot of heat for this. But the reason why I have him at 24 is that I really see him as a complementary defenseman who's going to use his size and his skating. He's going to be efficient. But drafting this guy number 2, number 3, it's absolutely suicidal for a GM in my book, because he has zero creativity and offensive potential.
Wow. So there's no way, if a team takes him in top 10, you don't approve.
I don't approve because, the argument is you need these guys to win. Of course, you need these guys to win. But the problem with these guys is that they're very hard to identify at age 17. You have no guarantees. I mean, you have no guarantees for any player. But give me a Beckett Seneca, who I think projects as a top 6 forward, before a guy who's already projects as a defenseman. I mean, these guys can be acquired through trades, free agency on July 1st. It's the type of position, the defensive defenseman to me is the type of position that you wait until these guys are in the NHL, see what they become before you sign them. Drafting them is a very, very risky proposition. That's why I gave you these names, you know. Griffin Reinhart was supposed to be a monster in the NHL.
Yeah.
He wasn't. And I'm not saying Silayev is going to be Reinhart. I'm just saying that there's a chance he might be. And to me, that's too high of a risk.
There's a chance but there's a chance he could be Sider.
I don't see it. I don't see it because Sider had the same age, had way, way better offensive skills. Okay. I do not see offensive skills in Silayev. What
stands out for you? Parasek 13, Katten 14, Yakimchuk 15, Emery 16, Nygaard 17, Luchenko 18, Yurachek 19, Solberg 20, Hage 21. What stands out there?
What stands out? I think I like the fact that he has Parasek at 13. He had 105 points. I think he's very underrated. Katten at number 14. I assume that Craig is probably worried about size and all this transposing to the NHL. Yakimchuk is boom or bust. So I understand why he has number 15. I think Emery at 16. Look, at least Silayev has size and he can skate. Emery, to me, really, really the definition of a 10-point-a-year defensive defenseman. What the heck is he doing at number 16? Okay, this is the type of player that personally I would draft in the 3rd round. He's probably going to be an NHLer, but really, I mean, you're drafting a guy who's basically a very, very complimentary defenseman. Other than that, Iricek was last summer was supposed to be the top defenseman in this draft.
Yeah,
he was injured during, I think, the first period of the World Junior Championship.
Yeah,
was up for the year. I think that's the reason he plummeted in the rankings. I don't necessarily see elite skills, but I do see a guy who can be a good, maybe number 3 defenseman. So that's probably, look, I have the guy at number 21. So that's very much where I ranked him. The rest, look, it's pretty much in line with what I have.
All right, let's go to the next list. Let's finish off with this. Miettinen, Greentree, Chernyshov, Sasha Boisvert. Sasha Boisvert, talk to me about him.
Well, look, this is a feisty guy who's skilled. If he's there at number 26, I mean, the Canadiens have to draft this guy. And full disclaimer, I have no I'm not. He's not a member of my family. You know, we share the same family name, but I don't know the guy. I think this is a guy you can, believe it or not, he can fight, but he's a skilled player.
Yeah.
So I do see he might lack pace a little bit. That's why he's not ranked higher. But I see a middle of the lineup, maybe a very, very, very good number 3 center. And, you know, because I like third liners who can generate offense, you know, even if it's just like 40 points a year, 45 points a year. I like these guys. I don't want the third liner to be put in a box as a defensive guy. So, yeah, I do like Boisvert. I think he can be a great 3C. And as for the rest, look, I like Cole Hudson. I like him more than Craig. I have him at number 14. I think he's like his, I think he's he's like his brother, except that he's a better skater in straight line. He's a little bit bigger, not much, but a little bit bigger. The only thing, he's not as efficient as Lane. You know, when he gets to the blue line, you know, that little dance that the guy does on the power play. But I do think that Cole has very good potential to be I would say a power play specialist, top 4 defenseman with his minutes well managed. Andrew Basha, number 30. I have him at number 17. I think this is very, very underrated player. He's highly skilled. This is a highly skilled player. Another guy, if he's there at 26, the Canadiens have to consider him. And finally, Trevor Connelly, number 27. We've talked about him.
Yes.
I have him at number 2. He's my coup de cœur, you know, for the draft. He's one of my favorite players of at least the last 5 or 6 drafts.
You have him at number 2.
Yeah.
Behind Celebrini.
Yeah, I see a superstar. I see an electrifying guy.
Wow. A shout out to Mekamoto. Mekamoto is a Moto Guzzi Piaggio investment dealer. They've been around for 100 years. JF, their owner, has been there as their owner for the last 10 years. And on Thursday, June 27th, they're having an all-day open house. You can pop in because they're doing road tests all day, all afternoon, located at 4398 De La Roche. Check out mekamoto.ca, mekamoto.ca. I had a tune-up on my Vespa there done recently, and they did an amazing job, so we've decided to spread the word. And we're going to spread the word from Simon de Snake Boisvert, who says Trevor Connelly, who is on Craig Button's list at number 27, on some other lists at 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, you name it. Snake Boisvert has him at number 2 on his list. I can't wait to see what Trevor Connelly's career is going to look like. So one day when you and I are like 80 years old, we can do this again. And I can either say you are the man or I can make fun of you.
Oh, yeah. And there's a very good chance you're going to make fun of me because odds are, you know, this kind of home run or grand slam is, it's a reach. It's a reach. But one thing is sure. If Trevor Connelly ends up with the Habs at number 26, which is not out of the question, they're not going to draft him at number 5. But if he ends up at number 26, I tell you, Tony, I'm getting season tickets to the Habs.
He's getting season tickets. Where? On top of the flag or good seats?
Well, good seats, yeah.
All right. You're going to bring me one game?
In the lower bowl.
You're going to invite me one game?
Of course.
Or you're going to go with your buddy Mathias to every game? Because I know that you and him, you're like this there.
Yeah, we're buddies. But, you know, I have other buddies. And I have, you know, I
you like me. You like me.
Yeah, I like you too.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, listen, I'm going to bring you back a souvenir from Vegas, okay?
Yes.
I'll take a picture with Trevor Connelly. I'll send it to you.
Wow.
There you go.
Oh, Tony, I love you.
I'll even sign it for you. I'll sign it. Ciao, Snake.
Salut,
there
Tony.
you have it. Special thanks to Energy Transportation Group. Special thanks to Bittt Tibi. Special thanks to Playground. Special thanks to all of our sponsors. And once again, we're going to be live at the draft in Vegas, and we'll bring you 4 shows from there on the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and on the Saturday, all brought to you by Betway. Special thanks to all of you for watching. If you like it, share with your friends, comment sick, leave us a 5-star review on Apple. It's our way of feeling the love. For Shane Gaumont and Master Control, I'm Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. La Vida TB, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.